The 5 canons of classic rhetoric clearly indicate some kind of process. However, in the 1960s, the idea of composition as a process seemed a surprisingly new idea. Prior to the 1960s, the current traditional pedagogical method insisted that knowledge in science must furnish the materials that form the body and substance of any valuable composition. Rhetoric serves to add the polish. Hugh Blair lectures. So what did Blair mean? First, invention cannot be taught, and second, composition becomes only an exercise in organizing and editing. In the current traditional classroom, students sat in rows waiting for teachers to dispense knowledge and judgment. Students were responsible for finding their own writing topics through observation or reflecting, for using outlines to organize and develop those ideas clearly, and then for producing a final, error-free product for the teacher to evaluate. The teacher's role then was to advise students on how to manage and present their information. The emphasis in composition was on clarity, focus, emphasis, order, and grammatical and mechanical perfection, and a teacher's job was to primarily correct or mark papers, as if proofreading them for final publication. The teacher was to be the final evaluator. At the end of each assignment, essays would be branded with a letter grade, returned, and the next writing assignment would commence. Ultimately, composition under the current traditional pedagogical method was about producing a clear, organized, error-free final product. By 1982, Maxine Hairston looks back at the 1960s and claims it was the time of a paradigm shift in composition. Key points in this paradigm shift were the focus on writing process for students and the emphasis on instructors intervening during that process to teach strategies for invention and to help students generate content and discover purpose. A whole new field of study emerged, process pedagogy studies, and scholars like James Britton, Jana Emig, Linda Flowers, John Hayes, Peter Elbow, among many others, began to focus on what was happening as students were writing, the processes of writing, and teachers' activities in the writing classroom. This changed perspective led away from a final teacher-evaluated product and emphasized the student's writing process, specifically the act of invention. Under the new motto, "Teach process, not product," classrooms became more like workshops with students sitting in circles or around tables. Students were encouraged to free write. Ideas were to flow freely without editing. Donald Murray wrote that, "Instead of teaching finished writing, we should teach unfinished writing and glory in its unfinishedness." In direct contrast to current traditional pedagogy, teachers were to be neither the initiators nor the evaluators of writing. Writing was viewed as an ongoing process with no final product necessary to validate the writing-to-learn experience. Teachers were to be facilitators and listeners, and to see students as writers and students' writing as texts. Process pedagogy was a product of the anti-institutional 1960s and 70s. An academic study of the field dried up in the early 1980s, but process pedagogy does leave a legacy in writing classrooms today. The National Writing Project is one of those legacies. First started in California in 1974, there were over 200 writing project sites for teachers by 2008. Process pedagogy also refocused attention on writing as a process that takes time and revision. Its 5 stages of pre-writing, writing, revising, editing, and publishing are reminiscent of the original 5 canons. Process pedagogy also introduced invention techniques still used in writing classrooms.